Welcome to a journey beyond time, where myths breathe, gods rise, and the ancient world awakens in quiet detail. Close your eyes, relax, and let the story of the old world guide you into a calm, timeless dream. Before there was earth, before there was sea or sky, there was only chaos, a vast emptiness, silent as eternity. In that stillness, no wind stirred, no whisper traveled, and no light cut through the dark. The universe as we know it lay hidden. Nothing yet dared to exist. Then from that cosmic void emerged Gaia, the earth, soft at first, dark and formless. Under her, the ancient waters gathered, forming silent seas. Mountains and plains and valleys slept unshaped beneath the deep shadow of endless night. And Gaia breathed life into the world's bones, her form spreading across the silence, carving land and giving roots where chaos had felt hollow. From her first breaths rose Tartarus, the pit, and Eros, the spark of desire and creation. As if the universe itself shivered awake, a trembling of possibility spread across the formless lands. Tartarus lay hidden under the deepest rocks, a realm of mystery unseen by mortal eyes. Eros drifted like golden dust, weaving through void and earth alike, promising birth and growth where there had been nothing. Then, as if shapes known only to the gods began to stir, came Uranos, the sky, sheathing Gaia above. He stretched across the heavens, covering the newly formed earth in a dome of stars. Night and day were not born yet, but the promise of the sky, infinite and eternal, enveloped the youth of the world. Under this divine pairing, earth and sky, life began to murmur. From Gaia's fertile darkness sprouted the Titans, the first mighty generations of divine beings. They rose as giants of flesh and force, embodiments of elemental power, strong as rock, graceful as wind, wise as the deep root systems of the newly shaped lands. The Titans roamed the young world. Some shaped mountains and rivers, some walked the forests that sprouted, others raised their voices in thunder that rolled across the newborn earth. For a time, harmony reigned. The world was new, alive, and everything seemed infinite. But beneath that harmony, in the secret places of earth and sky, resentment took root. Uranos, the sky, fearful of the power and size of his children, grew jealous. He refused to let them rise fully. He pushed them down into the belly of the earth, brooding over their power and keeping them half-hidden beneath rock and root. Their cries were muffled, their strength restrained. Gaia mourned. The mother of all life felt betrayal twist in her bones. She loved both earth and sky, but the monstrous weight of oppression tore something primal inside her. The rivers whispered their sorrow. The winds howled low under night skies. Life felt heavy. Then Gaia called upon her youngest and strongest child, Cronus. She asked him to rise, to challenge the sky that bound them, to break the chains and free the Titan's song. Cronus heeded her call, fierce, determined, wielding courage in his mighty limbs. With clever traps and the cunning strength of Gaia's guidance, Cronus ambushed Uranos. In a sacred act of rebellion, in the hidden hour when the earth shivered and the sky faltered, Uranos was stripped of his power. Sky and earth separated. The dome rose high, the land breathed open, the mountains and seas redefined themselves. Energy burst forth. Light cracked the darkness. The world screamed awake in thunder and flame. The Titans emerged from their prisons deep in the earth, free at last, but changed. Their victory reshaped the world, but also scarred it. The tides, the storms, the volcanoes spoke of a power too vast for calm. In the aftermath, chaos reigned briefly, as rivers flooded, Mountains trembled, and the sky raged. But out of the chaos, a fragile order formed. Gaia and Cronus rebuilt the world, sheltering life beneath stable land and calm seas. The Titans regained freedom, but now as guardians of creation, sculptors of rivers, winds, forests, storms. This age was called by few to come as the first dawn, when gods walked the land, when earth and sky answered to no master but themselves, when existence hummed with power raw and untamed. Under Cronus's reign, a new cycle began, a cycle of kingship among gods, peace among powerful beings, and a silent promise that the world would endure as long as respect was kept between earth and sky. But time among gods does not flow as it does among mortals. Ages passed like breezes. The seeds of fear and envy, planted long ago, began to grow in quiet darkness. For Cronus, aware of the prophecy foretold by Gaia, that one of his children would overthrow him, became suspicious. And in the hidden corners of the world, he made a terrible choice. When children were born to him and Rhea, he swallowed them, each one, without mercy, ensuring that his reign would remain unchallenged. The rivers mourned, the winds carried grief. Gaia's heart cracked with sorrow. The blood of gods dripped into the soil, poisoning parts of creation, leaving scars that even eternity could not easily heal. And yet, hope remained. In a remote cave, under the watch of silent stars, Rhea gave birth to her youngest son in secret, hiding him from the tyrant king. She wrapped him in swaddling cloths and entrusted him to the earth and the sea and the winds to survive. That child was Zeus. She sent him away with the earth's soft breath whispering through the roots, promising that one day the power of sky would be reshaped, not by fear and tyranny, but by justice, balance, and renewal. The cave where the infant Zeus slept was hidden beneath a canopy of ancient stone, guarded by shadows that had stood since the dawn of creation. Outside, the island winds whispered across rugged cliffs, carrying with them the distant echo of waves crashing against the rocks. The world seemed to hold its breath, as though even the sea knew that the fate of gods rested in the cradle of a single, fragile life. Rhea had entrusted her newborn son to the care of gentle spirits, nymphs whose songs lulled the mountains into calm and soothed the newborn god as he grew from infant to youth. They fed him the milk of Amalthea, the divine she-goat whose horns brimmed with infinite nourishment. Her presence gave Zeus the strength of the mountains and the endurance of the ancient forests. Every breath he took deepened his bond with creation itself. To hide his cries from Cronus, the Curettes, warriors of rhythm and ritual, danced outside the cave. They clashed their bronze shields and stamped their feet in wild, thunderous patterns. Their echoing steps blended with storms, with waves, and with the rumbling voice of the earth. Cronus heard nothing. Zeus grew. In time, the child became a youth, sharp-eyed, curious, and filled with a fire that seemed to come from the sky itself. He learned the ways of wind from the mountain peaks, the ways of strength from the stone, and the ways of patience from the long, quiet nights under starlit skies. He wandered the hidden corners of the world and listened to the murmurs of ancient powers too old for mortal memory. But the peace of childhood cannot last forever. Even the mountains that sheltered him knew the truth. A storm was approaching, one that no god or titan could escape. One night, as the moon cast silver across the sea, Gaia herself visited him in a dream. She spoke in a voice that echoed like rivers beneath the earth. "The time has come," child of Rhea," she said. "The sky must be reclaimed. The world must be restored." Zeus woke with purpose burning inside him. The young god was no longer content with hiding among shadows. The cruelty of Cronus, the sorrow of the devoured gods, the suffering of his mother, all weighed upon him like a storm gathering pressure in the sky. Zeus sought out Metis, the Titaness of cunning and wisdom. She greeted him with calm eyes that saw everything, past, present, and future, intertwined. "You seek to free your brothers and sisters," she said softly, "and bring down the tyrant who swallowed them." Zeus nodded. His resolve was steady, but the path was uncertain. Metis reached into the deep pockets of creation and crafted a potion, shimmering, swirling, made from the waters of truth and the roots of divine justice. "Give this to Cronus," she said. "It will force him to release whom he has consumed. Only then can the world return to balance." Zeus traveled in secret to the throne of Cronus. Disguised, silent, and guided by shadows, he moved through the Titan's palace, a place carved of dark stone and cold ambition. Cronus, proud and unaware, welcomed him as a servant offering drink. One sip, a tremor, then a roar that split the sky. Cronus clutched his chest as waves of ancient magic tore through him. The earth shook, clouds scattered, rivers reversed their flow, and from the depths of his body came the trapped children he had swallowed long ago, fully grown, divine, shining with the light of rebirth. First came Hestia, gentle and calm as the hearth. Then Demeter, wrapped in the scent of fields and fertile soil. Then Hera, whose gaze carried both fire and judgment. And then Hades, shadow-cloaked, carrying the deep chill of the underworld. And finally, Poseidon, rising like a stormy sea, trident not yet forged, but power unmistakable. The world gasped. The Titanomachy, the war between gods and titans, was about to begin. Cronus roared with fury, calling forth the titans from every corner of the earth. The sky went dark, storms ripped across the mountains, and the oceans screamed under the weight of divine rage. For the first time since creation, the very bones of the world trembled. But Zeus did not falter. He stood at the foot of Mount Olympus, young, unshaken, lightning gathering around him like a cloak, and called his freed siblings to stand beside him. What had once been swallowed now stood invincible. The world divided that day, titans on one side, gods on the other, and mortals yet unborn waiting for the victor who would shape their destiny. Zeus raised his hand. Lightning cracked across the heavens. The first strike of war lit the sky like dawn. And so began the greatest conflict the world had ever known. A struggle not for land or glory, but for the right to define the future of creation itself. The war would last for years. The earth would break. The seas would boil. The mountains would crumble. But in the end, Zeus would rise. Yet victory would come at a cost the world would feel for eternity. And the story was far from finished. The war between the Titans and the rising Olympian gods raged across the young world like a storm without end. For 10 long years, the sky burned with lightning, the seas roared with fury, and the mountains trembled beneath the weight of divine battle. Every strike, every shout, every clash reshaped the earth itself, carving valleys, raising peaks, splitting rivers, and forging the scars that would remain for eternity. This was not merely a war of strength. It was a war of will, a war of creation against age, of future against past. Cronus, though driven by fear, commanded the Titans with the authority of an age-old king. His brothers and sisters fought beside him, wielding the raw forces of the elements, their bodies towering like living mountains, their voices echoing with the first sounds ever born in the universe. The Titans had shaped the world, and they fought now to keep it under their dominion. But the young gods, Zeus and his siblings, fought with a different fire. They fought not to preserve what was, but to create what could be. And that desire, that spark of something new, made them dangerous. Zeus's lightning tore across the sky with a ferocity unseen since the moment the universe split from chaos. Poseidon commanded tides so powerful that entire coastlines rose and fell at his will. Hades summoned shadows, calling forth the trembling spirits of the deep to shatter the resolve of their ancient foes. Hera, Demeter, and Hestia fought with a fierce unity the Titans had never imagined, their strength flowing together like rivers joining into one unstoppable current. Still, the Titans endured. They were ancient, vast, unyielding, and for a time, neither side gained ground. But deep beneath the earth, imprisoned in endless torment, three colossal beings listened to the battle raging above. The Cyclopes, one-eyed giants of unmatched craft, and the Hecatonchires, hundred-handed creatures of pure elemental force. They had been cast into Tartarus long ago by Cronus, left to rot in darkness. But they remembered everything. Zeus, realizing the war could not be won by strength alone, descended into the black depths of Tartarus. Each step echoed across the cavernous void, the walls glowing faintly with ancient suffering. The Cyclopes, seeing him approach, recognized the fire in his eyes, a fire that once burned in Uranos and Gaia, but now stronger, focused, pure. They agreed to aid him. In exchange for freedom, they forged weapons unlike anything the world had ever known. For Zeus, they shaped the thunderbolt, the concentrated heart of the storm. For Poseidon, they crafted the trident, a spear that commanded all the waters of the earth. For Hades, they formed the helm of darkness, a crown that allowed its bearer to vanish from sight and bend fear to his will. Armed with these gifts, Zeus shattered the chains of the Cyclopes and freed the hundred-handed giants, whose mighty limbs shook Tartarus as they rose. With allies of pure chaos and strength, the balance of the war shifted. The earth felt the change. When the Hecatonchires stepped onto the battlefield, their 100 arms hurled boulders larger than mountains. Entire ranges cracked. Storms formed in their wake. The Titans, unaccustomed to facing foes of equal brutality, faltered. Zeus seized the moment. He climbed Mount Othrys, the fortress of the Titans, and confronted Cronus beneath a sky torn apart by thunder. Their final clash shook the boundary between heaven and earth. Lightning met sickle, storm met age, future met past. Cronus fell. With their king defeated, the Titans collapsed one by one, their strength fading like the last embers of an ancient fire. The war ended not with a scream, but with a quiet trembling that spread across the land. Zeus, standing victorious, did not seek destruction. He sought order. By eternal decree, the Titans were cast into Tartarus, not to die, for gods cannot die, but to sleep in silence under the watch of the hundred-handed giants who once suffered alongside them. The past was sealed away, allowing the future to breathe freely for the first time. Then Zeus gathered his siblings on the peak of a new mountain, a mountain that rose above clouds and wind, steady and eternal. Mount Olympus. There, in the golden halls built by the Cyclopes, Zeus spoke. "Let this be the home of the new age. Let us rule with balance. Let us shape a world where mortals may walk, dream, and rise. Let us govern not with fear, but with purpose." His siblings agreed, and so the world was divided. Zeus claimed the sky, the storms, the winds, the lightning, and the breath of heaven. Poseidon claimed the sea, the depths, the tides, the life hidden beneath waves. Hades claimed the underworld, the realm of shadows, but also the keeper of souls. Hera, queen of the gods, stood beside Zeus as the guardian of marriage and divine order. Demeter shaped the harvests, ensuring the earth sustained life. Hestia tended the sacred flame, the hearth that would warm every home and temple. The age of the Olympians had begun. From their mountain throne, they looked down at the world, a world reshaped by war, ready to be rebuilt by harmony. Rivers calmed, forests grew, the sky softened into a blue that mortals would one day admire. Creation hummed with renewal. But even as Zeus sat upon his throne, new destinies stirred quietly across the world. New gods rose, new creatures formed, new myths whispered through the shadows. For peace among gods is never eternal. And though the Titans had fallen, challenges yet unseen would rise, testing the strength of Olympus again and again. But that is a story for another time.